Lieutenant Colonel Schiller's hearings on Thursday, and the Marine Corps through Captain Stephenson came out and told what the proposed charges will be. Let's take a gander. Let's go. So first, let's start off with the Article 32 hearing on Thursday. This is effectively a grand jury to see whether or not which charges should be brought against the Lieutenant Colonel. So Captain Stephenson comes out and says the general nature of the offenses to be considered at the Article 32 hearing or the grand jury are Article 88, contempt towards officials, Article 90, willful disobeying superior commissioned officers, Article 92, failure to obey lawful general orders, Article 133, conduct unbecoming an officer and a gentleman. So that's what they've proposed. This came directly from the Marine Corps. So charge 1, they're proposing Article 88, contempt towards officials. Any commissioned officer uses contemptuous words against, now this is a good one, the President, the Vice President, Congress, the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Military Department, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Governor or Legislature of the State, Commonwealth, or possession in which he is duty or present shall be punished under a court-martial. So charge number 1, the grand jury will consider the Article 32 hearing, is this one. It looks like for all intended purposes, he will be brought up on this charge. It's going to be hard to say he won't. Now, lots of generals should be brought up on this charge, but let's go to the next one. So Article 90, willful disobeying superior commissioned officer. This one's pretty straightforward. Any person subject to this chapter, which he is, who willingly disobeys a lawful command of that person's superior commissioned officer shall be punished. And it goes down through what happens at time of war and otherwise. But this is a court-martialable offense. Looks like he will be brought up on that one. Let's go to the next charge. So Article 92 reads, failure to obey order or regulation. This one's pretty straightforward. He violates or fails to obey a lawful order or regulation. So he had a lawful order. Now, you could argue it may not be lawful, but he did have a lawful order to cease and desist all social media communications. This is the next charge they're considering, and I can't see how he's not brought up on this charge. And I'll get to editorial at the end. We can talk about if he should or shouldn't be, but let's just talk specifically about the charges. So Article 33, conduct unbecoming an officer and a gentleman. This is the catch-all. So basically, any actions that the command or the Article 32 board or hearing folks determine are unbecoming of him as a lieutenant colonel, he can be brought up on a court-martial. This is the catch-all article or potential charge he's up against. I'm going to put all these at the end so you can study them more if you like. So this communication came from the Marine Corps, Sam Stephenson, a captain in the Marine Corps. He's the one who's also an attorney and the spokesman probably for the JAG Corps. Let's take a look at his experience. So Captain Stephenson's been in the Marine Corps for 6 years. You can take a look at his LinkedIn profile. He's got a very impressive CV where he went to law school, well-trained man. And when you're looking at these Uniform Code of Military Justice articles we discussed, they're very broad, and there's not the same case law that you're going to find in civilian court. So at the Article 32 hearing, what's going to happen is they're going to look at the charge I went over, and they're going to determine, is there enough to bring him to a court-martial on all these charges? And like I say, you can look at the end at the actual law on this, but it appears all 4 charges is going to be more than enough to bring him up on a court-martial. Will he be found guilty? Nobody knows, but the jury is going to be of your peers, so other military members, right? We're not talking about civilians who are going to write a book. These are people who are still in the military and have to answer to their commands. A lot different than your typical civilian trial that has a lot of support from, say, the grassroots. So based on the UCMJ and a reading of the law and what we know about the lieutenant colonel, it appears he will be brought up on these charges. It's going to be hard to see how he won't be convicted. Now, the sentiment on social media is he's an outstanding guy, and I would agree with that. Problem you run up against is we don't have a jury like you do in the civilian world, where can have compassion. They're going to look at it very directly. We don't have case laws to look to reference. You're going to have another military judge is going to say, hey, here's the laws it's written. Here's what you did. They're not going to have sentencing guidelines. It's not the same kind of arrangement. So I want to hear in the comments from you guys, Which charges do you think he'll be brought up on, number one? Number two, which do you think, if any, he'll be convicted on? And you can take a look here at the actual laws that's written in the UCMJ. Thanks for watching.